You don't know this, Sarah Johnson, but you're in a game. My game. And I love it so much. Playing with you is the highlight of my days, and it makes it so much more enthralling that you don't even know that you're playing. I've been watching you for weeks now, and your beauty just makes me want you even more. The oddest thing was, I found you on Facebook when I was just looking up old classmates. I was just scrolling down my old high school crush's page, Michelle. I was gonna start up a conversation with her. Lord knows I still wanted her. But then I saw you. Right there on the friends list. You were so stunning. You just caught my eye. Even before I went to your page, I knew I had to have you. But when I did, I knew that I'd made the right choice. You are so beautiful. It's practically blinding. You were standing there in that beautiful yellow sundress that was just a perfect length to show the right amount of skin. Your long, slender, perfectly tanned legs on display. Your head surrounded by long, thick, golden blonde curls that reached to your shoulders, and a face that would make angels come down from heaven just to get a better look. All the while, your perfect head was being attached by a slender, smooth neck that was so inviting. And it would only look better if my hands were wrapped around it, squeezing the life out of your body. After seeing what was up for grabs, I knew I had to make you mine. It took me a little while, but eventually I found out where you worked, thanks to your posts. You should really be more careful what you post. I wouldn't want anyone else coming to steal what is rightfully mine. Anyway, with that information, I followed you home after you got off from work. And to my surprise, you don't even live that far away from me. It must be fate that I'd make you mine. It only could be. Your house is beautiful, as to be expected of such a beautiful girl. It's nothing like the other girls that have made mine. A one-story house with smooth baby blue painted walls with a white trim. I also like the amount of trees and bushes that you have in your yard. They make for a very good spot to watch you from. I'm usually a very impatient man, but with you, I can watch you shower for days. You've even made me a better person. You've made me learn new skills, like lockpicking. Let me tell you something. That is one useful skill. It lets me get so much closer to you. I've always thought that you were beautiful, but you're so much more lovely while you're asleep. Watching your chest slowly rise and fall so peacefully while I'm just mere feet away gives me a rush that I can't even describe. Taking deep inhales of your amazing scent, getting to caress your soft, silky golden locks, and giving your soft skin the lightest of touches while you're asleep makes me so happy. And yet, it makes me sad to know that I won't be able to do something like this again when I finally make you mine. All of this is a part of our game though. Trying to get closer to you without waking you up or making my presence known is always a thrill. Something that makes this game so much fun is that you know that I exist. I was watching you through your window as you sat on the couch with your friend when you switched it to the news, and to my surprise, they were talking about me. They had found the body of one of my girls. She was my favorite. That was until I met you though. To be honest, I'd forgotten about her. I'd even forgotten where I'd put her pieces. I must have hidden them pretty well because even the police couldn't find all of her parts. It made me let out a soft chuckle when the news reporter said that they had only found her head, torso, and left leg. It made me sad though, when you and your friend made disgusted faces as you looked at each other, saying that I was sick and twisted. I don't blame you though. It was obviously your friend who influenced that response out of you. She doesn't understand. She could never understand how much I loved that girl. I know you would understand though. You would get why I had to smash her skull with a hammer and cut the skin from her legs. You would also understand why I had to cut her into pieces. Well, I hope you'd understand. Because personally, I don't even remember. But I know it was for a good reason though. Because I love you. I won't take any offense to your reaction to how I show love to someone. But your friend? She can't get a pass. She isn't special like you, and she's just slowing down the pace of our game anyway. I hope that she isn't important to you. I couldn't bear to break your heart. Well, not before I tear it out of your body. So after your friend went home, I followed her. Yes, it was hard, but I made it work. After she got home, I waited outside of her house for a few hours, prepping myself for the fun that was about to begin. After I was sure that she was asleep and had worked out my jitters, I realized that this was a blessing. She was gonna be my practice for when I made my move on you. And let me tell you, I really needed the practice. I had forgotten how hard it was to remove a person's fingers while they were still conscious. I mean, it was my fault for not having my utensils, and for not hitting her hard enough, but I made it work. After wrestling her to the ground, I managed to get my hands around her throat while sitting on top of her. I made sure not to kill her, because I find no fun in just strangling my girls anymore, so I just knocked her out. After tying her to a chair, and putting a gag in her mouth and finding a decently sharp knife, I went to work. Her first finger was easy, but as soon as the pain woke her up, it was considerably harder. But eventually, the other 9 followed just like their fallen brethren. She tried to scream, like they all do, but she was still making a good amount of noise with the gag in her mouth, so I just punched her in the throat, which made her muffle shrieks into more of a muted hiss. When I was done, I was about to move to her feet to take her other digits when I looked into her eyes. It held the usual things that I see, like fear, sadness, pain, shock as to what is happening, but there was something else. I wasn't sure what it was. When I took a good look at her sweat and tear-covered face, it hit me. It was disgust. This cunt was looking at me with the most disgusted look that I've ever seen. It made me so angry. How dare she look at me that way? She should be grateful that I took the time out to make her one of mine. How could she? How could she? With that, I did what was necessary. Let me tell you something. Taking the fingers off a conscious person is hard, but you know what's even harder? Their face. As much as I appreciate getting to practice on your friend, I now realize that I've made a mistake. Not only will you be questioned by the police once they find your friend's mutilated body tied to that chair, which will lead you to probably be under their surveillance, you might also move away due to fear, seeing that you live pretty close to her. But more importantly, you'll be sad once you find out what happened to your friend. I don't want to see you sad. Well, not until I get to you. So I've decided to make my move. I know that I'm cutting my time with you short, but because of my stupid mistake, our game must end. So with that, on a chilly night as the wind howls and the trees sway, a large man dressed in all black carries a duffel bag filled with tools to make the strongest of men wet themselves in terror. He makes his way to the door of his next victim as the moon and stars watch from the heavens above. He picks the lock, which makes a soft click. Then he pushes the door open silently, stepping inside. He can't help himself but to take deep inhales, smelling the air, taking in the scent of the woman that's been his object of obsession for weeks. He makes his way down the hall. He's memorized the layout of the house perfectly, as if it were his own. He makes his way past the kitchen, not noticing the fridge door that is held slightly ajar. So excited and thrilled by the thought of his next kill, he also doesn't notice the small figure behind him, holding a thick, solid piece of wood carved for the exact reason it is about to be used for. And with that, the large man takes one more step down the carpeted hall, and then lights out. After several minutes pass, the large man stirs. He finally awakes from his involuntary nap. He tries to look around to see his surroundings, but is greeted by darkness. He then notices that he's been blindfolded. Trying to move, he feels a tightness binding his hands and feet. And another revelation comes to him. He has been handcuffed to a chair. With his large size and muscles, he pulls against his restraints, doing nothing more than bruising his wrists and ankles. Suddenly something stirs in the man, something that he hasn't felt since he was a young, helpless boy. It's nothing other than unbridled fear. Frantic, he pulls harder against his cuffs, once again only succeeding in bruising his wrist, but this time cutting himself, making warm blood roll down his clenched fists. He's about to shout when he hears something behind him. It's the unmistakable sound of an opening door, and it seems to be a very heavy door. Footsteps soon follow, and they make their way to the side of the man. The man is now breathing hard, and flinches when he feels the fingers run across his face. Then all of a sudden he's blinded, when the blindfold is pulled away and the light hits his eyes. His eyes adjust to the light, and he tries to look around. Only then he realizes that his head has been fixed in place with a tight strap that runs across his forehead. In front of him lies a table, and scattered across are tools of all different shapes and sizes, with syringes filled with different colored liquids also scattered across the table, and next to said table is his large duffel bag. As the man sits there in the chair, slowly realizing what he's gotten himself into, a figure walks into his peripheral vision. The man strains his eyes, trying desperately to see who it is, all the while knowing exactly who he's trying to see. His suspicions are made true when a beautiful woman with golden blonde locks that reach her shoulders walks into his view, sporting a beautiful smile while wearing what looks like a painter's suit. The man looks at the woman, staring into her beautiful blue eyes. He sits there speechless, but still trying to find the words to speak when the woman speaks for him. "It took you long enough," she says. "I thought that you just watched me from outside my window. I couldn't get any work done while you crept around my house. For half a second I thought I'd just have to get up and kill you. But I'm glad that you made your move when you did. This is a lot more fun than just straight up killing you." The man is still stunned, but eventually he finds his words. "What the hell?" he says in a shaky voice. "Come on now," she responds. "You're a novice at this, but you still should be able to tell what's happening. Come on now. Think about it. You're cuffed to a chair. There's a table with tools in front of you. I'm wearing this suit." After seeing that she's getting nowhere with the shocked man, the woman says in an annoyed tone, "Fine, since you want me to spell it out for you, I am going to torture you to death. Get it?" Then suddenly, like the flip of a switch, the woman's face changes from cavalier and happy to serious and stern. "You're so pathetic and sloppy. Honestly, it amazes me that the cops haven't caught you yet. Leaving body parts strewn all over the place? You're like a stupid dog that buries its bones and forgets where you'd put it. No, you're like a lion that walks into a bigger lion's territory and expects to walk out unscathed. You want to know how it's really done?" And with that, the woman puts her hands on the chair and spins the man so that he can see the other side of the room. The man stares in horror as he looks at piles of body neatly stacked against the wall, each one in a large plastic bag with all the air sucked out. All of the bodies are either mangled or cut into pieces, so brutally and maliciously damaged that the gender of any is completely unknown. The man in the chair is now shaking, tears pouring down his face, snot running out of his nose with a thick layer of sweat covering his brow. His chair spun back around. He's now facing the table once again. The man, now at his wit's end, is about to start pleading for his life, but before he can even utter a single word, the woman moves with lightning fast speed, plunging a blade he had not seen deep into his arm. The man lets out a howl, screaming at the top of his lungs. Then he feels the woman shove something into his mouth. At first he thinks it's a gag. Then he realizes that it's cold and made of metal, and it pushes against his tongue and the roof of his mouth. It also has sharp edges that dig into his mouth as he tries to close his jaws. But to top it all off, he can still hear himself whimper in pain. Then the woman starts to speak again. "What's that look for? Can't have you biting off my fingers while I play doctor, and I wouldn't dare gag you. I want to hear you scream. Now, because of your stupidity, you'll learn a lesson about what happens when you come into a bigger lion's territory." And with that, a sick man howls in pain at the top of his lungs, unheard by anyone except the monster that he practically served himself on a golden platter to. Hello once again. Thank you for listening to my latest creepypasta called I Love This Game We Play. If you're new to my channel, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. It would help my channel grow, and it would honestly make my day. I also would appreciate it if you were to share my video, and for my current subscribers, I'd like to apologize for the late upload. I hope that this story made it up to you. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment or just send me a tweet. All of my important links are in the description down below. Anyway, thank you once again for watching my video. I truly do appreciate it. So subscribe, and come back next time when I bring you another sick tale from a world much like your own.